Hey everybody, my name is David Singleton. I'm normally here like playing guitar or rapping or singing or some type of combination of the three, but I'm doing something different today. Shouts out to Jose because you're the reason why I'm doing this. But yeah, I'm thinking about doing a series, man, a series of me doing these little talks about different values, virtues, and vices. I hope these will all be like 5 to 10 minutes. If you guys like these, like it, comment, tell me you like it. If you like it, I'll do more of them. If not, I'll say, hey, this was a dud, and I'll do something different. But anyways, today I'm gonna talk about being a coward. For that, I have a story. So I used to live in Michigan. I was a youth pastor up there for a while, and I lived in this small duplex in Hazlitt, and it was an older place, and we had an older couple who was like the landlords. And I used to talk to the man. He was cool. He would come through and he would fix stuff because, like I said, it was an older place and stuff would break a lot. But I would like follow him around and ask him questions, and he'd teach me how to fix stuff. And I live in a house now that I own or whatever, and I still use some of those lessons today. But yeah, he's a nice guy, man. And one day he came over, and like I said, he was old and he looked bad, man. He looked real bad, and I knew he had health struggles in the past. And I was like, man, he might die soon, which sounds dark, but that's what I was thinking. And so I started thinking, man, I should talk to this guy about Jesus. Now, I'm very open with Jesus. I always talk about Jesus. I talk about Christianity. I talk about my job as a pastor. At the time, I'm not a pastor anymore. I never shared with him Jesus, right? I never tell him about the gospel for himself, and I felt like I should. But then I got fearful, man. I started thinking, man, he might think that I'm weird or I'm pushy, or I'm hateful, or like that I'm judging him. And I got so fearful that I didn't say anything. After he left, like I prayed for him a bunch, and I was like, man, if I see this guy again, I'm gonna give him the gospel. But I never saw him again because he died, and that was because he didn't die because of that, but I didn't give him the gospel because of my fears. And to me, that's being a coward. I was a coward. Now I can own that because I know what Jesus did for me on the cross. I know all my sins are forgiven because, Jesus' love for me. But that doesn't mean I don't face it too. I was being a coward. And because that guy didn't get the gospel. Now that doesn't mean that if I gave him the gospel, he would have got saved and everything would have went well, or it wouldn't have been awkward or weird, or he wouldn't think that I was pushy or whatever else. But it would have been worth it to give him the gospel. But I didn't. Because of my fears. See, cowardice, what is cowardice? Cowardice is when you let fear stop you from doing what you were meant to do or you're supposed to do. And that's what I did. And if you're honest with yourself, you've probably done that before too. All right. And it doesn't mean like it's not just about God or Christian things, it could be about anything. Some of you guys know you should start a business, but your fears are stopping you from starting businesses. Some of you guys have goals, plans, and dreams, and all these things that you know you're supposed to do that's in your heart. But when you sit and you think about it, you get scared and you don't do it. All right? Where does that come from? I'll tell you where the coward comes from. I used to think that it came from like a lack of faith. And that's partially true. But it also comes from a misplacement of faith. Cowardice happens at the tipping point between fear and faith. When your faith is placed in your fears. The more faith you have in your fears, the less faith that you have in whatever blank is. If that's God, dreams, jobs, goals, whatever. And as your faith grows in your fears, the farther you get away from who you're supposed to be and what you're supposed to do. And I'll tell you why your faith grew in your fears. Same thing with mine. It's because that's what you dwelled on. And that's why the Bible talks clearly that we're not supposed to dwell on certain things. You know how Jesus said in Matthew 6, don't worry about anything? How it says in Philippians 4, don't be anxious about anything? The reason he says that is because God knows something, Jesus knew something, Paul knew something, that whatever we dwell on indwells us and we become it. And so when you dwell in your fear, you become a coward. You're a coward sometimes. But that's not the end of the world, because in the Bible is also the solution. In that verse in Philippians 4, it says, do not be anxious for anything, but pray about everything. That's the second part of that verse. What are we supposed to do with our fears, our failures, all that type of stuff? We're supposed to give those to God. All right? As those fears enter our mind, as those things enter our mind that's not supposed to be there, we should take those things and we should instantly give them to God. But David, it keeps hitting me over and over again. I keep getting afraid. You should keep giving those things to God continually. And as you do that, you'll stop dwelling on your fears and you'll start dwelling more on God. And then the faith tipping point will tip back the other direction. And your faith will be in your God or your goals or your dreams and not your fears anymore. All right. Jesus says this, right? It says, cast your care. Well, not this. It's actually in First Peter. So Peter said this about Jesus. He says, cast your cares upon him because he cares for you. First Peter 5. And so what does that mean? That none of my fears will ever come true? No, that's not true. I think in the Christianity, a lot of times we give people pretty lies like, oh, if you do this, everything will be okay. I don't know that. I don't have a crystal ball. I can't see your future. And I've had times in my life when my worst fears came true. And those were very hard times. But God was always with me. And it didn't stop me from being who I was supposed to be. I'm not saying that fears, failures, and these things don't hurt. But God makes up the difference. And through that pain, he will hold our hands. On the other side of fear is who we're supposed to be. And if we never go through it, we'll never become that person. And yeah, that's my talk for today. I hope that was helpful or something. But yeah. All right, man. If you like that, if you want me to do more of those, let me know in the comments. If you didn't like that or you disagreed, let me know in the comments. But yeah, God bless y'all, man. I hope to talk to y'all again about something like this soon. If not, that's okay too. All right, bye.